we are on the sidelines of Pondy Litfest 2022, and I am absolutely delighted to have with me Annamalai ji, who inspires so many people, especially people from our generation. Sir, how is it like for you to be at the Pondy Litfest?
Ajit ji, firstly, it's a real pleasure to be in Pondy Litfest. So meticulously done. The choice of speaker selection is phenomenal. And you are giving space to a lot of writers who need that space. Because the creative atmosphere in India is undergoing a big churning now. Especially the kind of stories that is waiting to be told. And the brave writers you are bringing here in Pondy Litfest are telling very important civilizational stories. They are bringing a lot of hidden heroes to real life. So that is why it's a pleasure to come here, talk, to meet many of my idols here, many of my favorite writers here. It's a phenomenal literature festival.
Thank you so much, Anna. Anna, we have seen that in the last 1 year or so, you have actually come to Tamil Nadu politics with an approach that has been very different from anything in the past in such a vigorous manner. To say, like, in a very broad sense, what is your vision for Tamil Nadu?
Ajit ji, the vision for Tamil Nadu, what we have is very simple, because we believe our Prime Minister Modi ji is a Tamilian in spirit. Whatever he does, says, I don't think he has quoted any language this widely across the world. So we believe in Tamil Nadu, this is the right time to bring a dharmic rule to our state. The last 70 odd years, what has happened, the history has taken a course correction. It has shifted away from the path it is supposed to travel. A land that has got a rich history, of 5,000 year plus history easily, is called as a Dravidian state now, which has got a 70-year-old history now. So we want to set it right.
Yes.
And more importantly, we want to bring a spiritual awakening back to our state. And we believe the party that I represent, Bharatiya Janata Party, is the only party that is capable of doing it. So the vision that we have is very simple. We want to create a lot of grassroots leaders. And the day I took over, I mentioned I want to create 500 plus leaders who will get into people's mind space, who will vigorously debate, argue, who will also emerge as people's leader in the next 5 years. So that next 2026 elections come, the 500 individuals that we are grooming, that we are putting them in the public arena, they will be the people who will be representing BJP in a political battle. So once that 500 leaders get created, I think my job is done as the state president. The second thing is, we want to set, I will not use a word called counter narrative, because it's a false narrative. A proper narrative, what you offer is called counter narrative. We want to set right the false narrative that is propagated. In the sense, Tamil Nadu is a very different state. 1965 before, Tamil Nadu wanted to be a separate state. Even now, the vociferous tendency that is present in many of the political discourse, we want to set it right by a proper narrative. How Tamil Nadu is part of the Bharatiya way of life, is part of the Indians' thinking, is part of the Indian great culture. So that integration thing, we want to make it happen. For that, it is apart from politics, apart from what we do. For that, we are creating that ecosystem, we are creating space to a lot of intellectuals who can voice it out and be an alternate to the fake ecosystem, the fake narrative that is thriving in the state. These are the two things that drive me as an individual.
So you have, at the political level, inroads that you are trying to make. At the same time, you are trying to make intellectual inroads. Now, in the last 1 year, how do you assess your own efforts? At the political level, how have the inroads been? And at the intellectual level, do you see any change on the ground?
Ajit ji, politics is a team game. That too in Bharatiya Janata Party, it is a karyakartas who take the party before, who take the party with their hard work. So Tamil Nadu, we can proudly say that the youngest karyakartas in the ground who are willing to take on a fight is with the Bharatiya Janata Party now. And I would also say in the intellectual space, Bharatiya Janata Party has taken a name for itself by the kind of issues it has taken up, be it a religious conversion, be it the corruption of the government, be it the tainted ministers, be it the big scams. So all those things in the intellectual space, our young leaders and the senior leaders of the party have taken it very vigorously. So right now, we are in a place where we wanted to be. We are in the right place where we wanted to be. Still, it's a 2-year game for the Lok Sabha elections 2024 and a 4-year game for the 2026 assembly elections. So with this, with the pace that we are traveling now, I am very confident, because 2019 BJP did not make a mark, and 2014 we also did not make a good mark. So 2024, the whole of the country knows Narendra Modi ji is going to come back to power for the third straight time. So we want to set the history right by giving MPs from Tamil Nadu in Bharatiya Janata Party. So for that we are at a space where we wanted to be. I am sure we will make it happen.
So as a political analyst, I cannot resist asking you this question. Do you think that BJP's journey to becoming one of the poles in Tamil Nadu politics is an ongoing journey, or is it a journey that has already happened, that you have already emerged as one of the two poles?
It's an ongoing journey, Ajit, I would say, because in Tamil Nadu, first you got to get into the intellectual space, because it's a very different state. The politics of the state is always in the mind, because people vote for mass leaders, people vote for cinema icons. This state behaves very differently in the electoral space. So in the intellectual mind space, the party has to enter first. Because when Dr. MGR started the party in 1972, he never had a booth, never had a committee, but he had that huge charisma and the huge goodwill of the people. When the next election happened, he was there, right there, and he won the election. He became the chief minister. For a pretty long time he was alive. DMK found it very tough to corner MGR, even understanding the fact DMK had a 20-year head start when compared to MGR. Now, starting from there, it's an intellectual space you got to enter. They have to see BJP as a party that is fighting for Tamil rights, BJP as a party that wears Tamil pride on its sleeves, which BJP of course it is, because Modi ji himself is like that. So that intellectual space we have entered. Now the political battle will start any time, because you are going to take somebody's space and you are going to offer a pole that is exactly opposite to the current narrative that is fueling Tamil Nadu's imagination. So that is a matter of months we are there. The political battle will start anytime soon. That is the time you see the political parties coming at our cadres very vigorously. So intellectual space we are there. Political space we are just entering. It's a matter of time.
So my final question, actually, you raised this very interesting point that in this state, you have often had people with massive charisma, let's say movie stars for instance, who have captured the public imagination. Now, one very interesting point that one of the MLAs made to me when I was writing the book on Himanta Biswa Sharma was that there are some leaders whom people like because they have to like them, and then there are other leaders whom people like because they want to like them. Now we see that the current leaders in Tamil Nadu, very few can be categorized in the second category. But then this time, when we see wherever you go, the kind of response that you get, it is obviously driven by massive charisma. People want to be near you. People want to attend your rallies, listen to you speak. And you are somebody who has not been an actor. You do not come from that kind of a fraternity. You are somebody who has served as a police officer in the past. You are somebody who is very ideologically driven, who speaks about dharma. So you obviously see that the imagination is being captured by something very different now in the state. So what do you think? You are saying that the game is in the mind. How do you think that mental game has been affected with your emergence?
I would say, Ajit ji, that I am a brand ambassador for Narendra Modi ji. So all of us in Tamil Nadu, the Karyakartas, are effectively carrying the charisma, the appeal, the work being done by our Honorable Prime Minister. So what has happened from 2016 to 2019, there was a concentrated effort. I would say it's a well-planned strategy by a section of Tamil media and by the opposition party to run a very negative campaign against the Honorable Prime Minister.
Which has backfired.
Which backfired. So what has happened? You cannot run a negative campaign for a long time. There is this English proverb which I would like to quote here. They say, you can fool some people sometime, but you cannot fool all the people all the time. So 3 years of that negativity, now when people see Modi ji, they are like, no, he's not like that. He likes Tamil. Why does he quote Tirukkural? Why does he quote this? He travels across the world. He doesn't speak in his native tongue Gujarati, but he portrays Tamil Nadu. He calls Tamil as the oldest language. So you are lying. That is why the last 2 times when the Honorable Prime Minister was in Chennai, 3 months before and now, the kind of turnaround, the kind of outpouring of emotion for the PM was like, I wouldn't say it's historic, I would say, because it is very emotional to see people crying, seeing him, getting near to him. So we and all the Tamil Nadu political leaders, we are just foot soldiers, trying to erase the sambal. In Tamil we call sambal, and probably In English, I would say the ashes,
Yes.
which is on the Prime Minister. We are trying to just dust it off. So that Prime Minister as a person, Narendra Modi ji as a human being, we want the Tamil people to connect with them. Once we do that, our job is simple. I just imagine if Narendra Modi ji is able to speak Tamil, just imagine what is going to happen. And probably I haven't seen any other political leader in India who is not Tamilian by birth, who owns Tamil culture. I haven't seen any other political leader. He consistently, repeatedly, over different forums, he owns that Tamil spirit. So this people are understanding now. We are just the effective ambassadors of the Honorable Prime Minister here.
Anna, it was an honor. Thank you
Ajit
so
ji, it's
much.
a pleasure and honor. Thank you.
Thank you.
That to talking to a person like Ajit ji, who I have seen in the Twitter space, such a young, intellectually driven, very big asset to our country, the Dhamik